Hello, everyone. This is the show Isolated Tracks, produced by Justin Wilmore for 90.3 KEXP FM. It's a nonprofit radio station in Seattle, also streaming online at kexp.org. On the show, we look inside songs from some of our favorite artists, isolating the tracks just to see how people get from inspiration to realization. I'm Julian Martlew. I'm one of KEXP's live and production audio engineers. And today we are talking with Jacob Lundgren from the Seattle band The Dip about the song Ángel de los Muertos from their latest, I believe the EP is going to be called The Dip Plays It Cool. How's it going, Jacob?
Going very well. Thanks for having me.
Is that right? The Dip Plays It Cool?
Yeah, it came out, I believe, a month and a half ago.
Well, it's a great song. Did you have a concept for this record, or were you just writing music and these are the songs that ended up coming out?
Yeah, so this one is, the concept is kind of like, after our first album, we had these kind of instrumental tracks floating around, and we put out our first EP is called Won't Be Coming Back. It's another 4-track instrumental EP, and we thought it was really cool. It was fun to do, and so after that, we made the Dip Delivers full-length album, and we left off a couple of instrumental tracks because we like to have a good balance, vocal and instrumental, on our full lengths. You know, like a couple of instrumentals per album. So we had a few left over, and then we got another one together and just decided to do it all over again, the instrumental EP, because it was a lot of fun. And, you know, it's kind of for the fans of us who like to pay attention more to our playing and not necessarily the lyrics and vocals, however great they are. And Tom's a great singer, but he's also a great guitar player. And a lot of people really cherish that first instrumental EP we did. So, you know, we like to, you know, give the people what they want.
So this is for the heads.
Yeah, exactly. This is for the
heads. Well, let's get into this song.
Yeah, so this one is one that we had road tested for a while, like most of our tunes. And this is one that Tom wrote. And he had been listening to a lot of Latin music and, you know, all different kind of stuff, cumbia, and he was listening to a lot of stuff coming out of Trinidad and, you know, Afro-Latin inspired rhythms. And I don't think he set out to write something like this. I think he was just playing, and this is what kind of came out, this intro guitar riff. And he showed us this demo that he had, and we all just kind of jumped on it and added our own thing. It's kind of the usual way it goes. And so we'd been playing it on the road for a little while. We came up with kind of a B section to it all together. A little outro jam. It takes up almost half the song. And just the rhythm section. So myself on guitar, Jared on drums, Mark on bass, Tom on the acoustic guitar, the classical guitar. Mm-hmm. And we invited our friend Carl from the Polyrhythmics. He, slapping the bongos. So it was the 5 of us in one room, in this room. And we ended up using this mustard couch because we're in the mustard studio. It actually splits in half. It's 2 pieces. And we like to use that as baffles. And we made what we called Carl's Conga Cave right next to the drum set so that we could get some bleed in between the drums and the percussion there to make it sound more live, because it was live. So let me start with this guitar intro here. And this is Tom. We have another room over there to my left. And he was sitting in the B room all by his lonesome with the acoustic guitar. And he started off this song. There, that's the guitar. I also have it going to a bus with some reverb here. This is kind of my standard go-to reverb plugin just to test. I usually, when I'm ready to mix for a final mix, I'll plug in our outboard spring reverb and just kind of get the right EQs coming back in and just compare to the whatever reverb I decide to test it with. And in some cases like this, I just liked the sound of the plugin more.
Mm-hmm.
Like usually I go with the real spring, but in this case I liked this one on the guitar. And I kind of pan the reverb left and the guitar right. So it gets kind of a nice spatial thing in the intro and in the kind of interlude in the middle area.
And what are you using? What's the mic? What's the path coming in?
This one, let's see. Got my notes here. We're using, I don't know. It just says warm audio mic. So we have a few. I probably took notes later and forgot. Or maybe we only had one at that point. I think it was my WA-14 mic. It's like a copy of this. I forget what the original is called. Something C14 or something like that. But it's a phantom power, condenser. So we have that, and then let's see. We put that into a warm audio, kind of a copy of the LA2A, so the WA2A, and then it goes into the tape machine, and that's it. I mean, we did some EQ moves on the preamp, but I didn't write those down. Yeah, so that's the guitar, and it's really cool. So you could see here we have two halves of the song, and we actually ended up liking the second half of the take of the second to last take. So we ended up splicing them together. We did the first half of the last take and then the second half of the one before that. And it worked out very well. Yeah. So let's see, the drums kind of kick in with the rest of the rhythm section. So we got drums, Carl, bass, and my guitar. And let me just go solo. So my guitar was in a separate room and the bass was DI. So if I just solo these percussion, I love to just listen to these two guys, these three mics here. Let's see. When they come in. You can kind of hear the room sound in there. It's just cool, nice and locked in. If I solo Carl on the congas here, you can hear some drums in there. A lot of kick drum. If I solo Jared's stuff. That was pretty intentional. Usually you'll try to isolate all the tracks, but I think those old recordings that we tend to gravitate towards, there's so much mic bleed, and we just wanted to kind of explore that, and it worked out well.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, it makes sense to me that you would put them right next to each other because then you don't have a big delay between the two.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just so you got a kick mic and a single overhead.
Yeah. There's a picture somewhere of our setup. It's kind of weird. So Jared was like right here facing that wall. He's normally in the corner back here, but so he's facing the wall, and we had a mic behind him, like behind his right shoulder, probably like 2 feet back, 2 or 3 feet back, just like, maybe waist high ish, and that's what we found worked. It was very weird because, the bleed with the congas, and it all just worked out it just took a lot of moving around. And it was this mic here. It's called it's battery powered. It's an Audio Technica AT813. Tom bought it from a trading musician, and it actually didn't work. And we were like, why would they sell us a mic that didn't work? I guess they didn't test it. And then so it took a while, and we finally dug into it and fixed it. And it turns out to be a pretty great mic. So let's see, this drums track. Got the Pultec pulling off a little high end there. Left the low end unchanged. That's the only plugin on that. The kick drum. I flipped the phase there. Pulled off a lot of the high end because it's a kick drum. And then just did a little low end boost with this Pultec plugin. Yeah.
Nice.
That's it. And then on the congas, we didn't do anything. They sounded great. I didn't want to take away any of the high or low end because it had a lot of room sound in it, and it just worked. And Carl's a great player, so he probably just makes anything sound good.
Yeah.
So I also join on guitar here. Let's take a listen to that. So pretty subtle sound there. There's a lot of stuff going on in this song. Just kind of playing along with the melody with Tom here.
What's your tone? What's your trickery?
Well, I knew there were going to be a lot of tracks on that. So one of my go-to tricks when there's a lot of tracks and I want to avoid too much build-up in any kind of low mids is I use this mic right here. It's a weird looking Japanese mic, and it's AOI. It's made in Japan, cardioid dynamic. A good buddy of mine who used to be in the band, actually, he used to play percussion with us on the first album. He found this in a vintage store in Bellingham. It's still his. I'm just borrowing it. But we lovingly refer to it as poop mic because it sucks. There's no low end. It just has the weirdest frequency response, but I've found that it works well on guitar. And I used it 3 times on this song, actually, just because it just kind of cuts out the right stuff when you got too much going on. And as you can see on my guitar, I didn't do anything in post either. But I used that guitar. I used a hollow body guitar into my little Princeton amp that I always use. And I really just did a couple EQ things on the preamp, and that was it, into the tape.
Nice.
Yeah. Later, so when I was playing it live, we'd come to these couple parts in the song where I would play fuzz pedal. Let me go to that. I'll just play the fuzz part where it comes in, whole band. It is on the right here. That's both of them being doubled there. Like kind of the original one's kind of in the left ear and the fuzzy one is in the right. Mm-hmm. And they sounded good together, so I left the original one in them. Yeah, so that's cool. And when I do that live, I just switch on that pedal. It's a clone of a FZ1A, one of the first fuzz pedals made. It's that Satisfaction guitar riffs fuzz sound. Uh-huh. And it's a great sound. So we got all the rhythm tracks. I did the fuzz guitar, but the horns came in. I like to record them all on one mic a lot, as much as possible. Especially for dense songs like this, because it's just easier. It's not like they still take up the same space if it's mixed right, but they don't take up as much of the frequency spectrum. It doesn't like start doing too much build up, especially with the tape hiss and all that. And they just have a really great natural blend. You know, we've been playing together for I guess almost 10 years now, and they really just have a great blend. So I just try to capture that. So I think you can really hear that good blend. You know, you can hear all three of them well. You can single them out. And that Omni mode just kind of helped give it a little room sound, which kind of matches what the rhythm section did. And then the reverb is this, I just have an old spring reverb tank that I pulled out of a Hammond organ that I had a while ago. And it just sounds great. I just drive it with the gain stage on this big Tascam mixing board. Mm-hmm. And just throw it in there, EQ it in and out, and just tweak it for a while until it sounds right. And here's what it sounds like. Just adds that reverb richness. Yeah. Let me get into this horn solo because I think it's just great. Okay. After the end of, and this is live, mind you. You know, this is probably their third take. They're playing all three into one mic. Brennan on trumpet, Levi on tenor sax, Evan on bari sax, and Brennan and Levi split off and kind of do this kind of trading solo thing, and Evan just holds it down. And when we play live, Evan will go for it too a little, but we just thought that on the recording better, more, you know, a little less chaotic for the recording. But here's the solo. I'll start with everyone in, and then solo them. Impresses me. I love listening to these solo tracks.
Yeah, those guys can play.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love being in here and witnessing all the takes, and it's fun. You might have heard during that solo we have this sound. It's wood slap. Check that out. A few points in the song, I just kind of heard that. I don't know. And I was in here with Jared recording the tambourine, and I was just like, let me slap this. I snapped some plywood off from our back room there and just kind of kept smacking them together, getting some loud smacks, and threw a bunch of spring reverb on there. It adds a little, I don't know, something like that. Here's another one during the solo. So that was weird.
That's fun.
Love it. Yeah. And another little nugget here is the Glockenspiel. Tom had the idea for this little part here. Just kind of leading into the chorus or the B section of the song. Kind of helps move that transition along into the other section. Cool sound. And here's another thing. We got this Hammond M3 organ. So it comes in there. It's very subtle. You can't really hear it. And then you can kind of hear it on the second verse playing along with the main melody.
Bringing a little Scooby-Doo.
It's like the Munsters or something. But it just has a cool sound. It's actually the organ that Booker T used on Green Onions. It was before he started playing the B3.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually have another. We did Tom doing a little vocal, so it's not truly an instrumental. But he's not singing any words, but he's doing that same melody. So that was also recorded with the poop mic, and with a lot of reverb.
It's like a James Bondy cinematic vibe.
Yeah, it's cool. You don't want to overdo that stuff, I feel like. So I just keep it a little slow. But it all adds together. What else do we got here?
Oh, we haven't done the bass.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Mark. Okay. It's okay because Mark is my favorite musician in the band. He's amazing, amazingly talented. Also, I've been playing with Mark since we were 14, 15 maybe. I met him freshman year of high school, and we started the dip at the end of college. But so I've known him for a while, and I've just consistently blown away by his playing. Even when we were 15, he was amazing. So the bass, he's got this great sounding Rickenbacker. He's got two of them, but there's this blonde Rickenbacker. It just sounds great DI. Though in this particular one, actually, it looks like a rare instance of playing through a Bassman 10 amp. Let's just see. Here's a good part for him. That's kind of the extent of him being able to stretch out on this song, but
this is super cool for us because we've had a couple of sessions where everything's super specialized and there's some manipulation going on. There's some things where we've seen a lot of plugins, but this is like 8 people. It's 8 people, including Carl.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it's 2 of me, so not.
Yeah. So 9 people, but basically it's live and you're balancing with each other by using your ears and your experience. Are you doing anything on your master bus?
So this, it's just for me. I usually put just a tiny bit of compression from this LA2. It's a really slow to react. Just kind of to simulate. I don't know. It just seems to help me. It just kind of simulates a little bit of mastering. It's just usually taking off 1 to 2 decibels at any given moment. I kind of try to set it to be around 1, and then in the louder parts be around -2. Some people will probably call me crazy, but yeah, it probably also just warms it up a little. Sometimes I like to put this, not that one. Well, a different Pultec plugin. That one's disabled. The EQP 1A plugin without anything turned on. Just to add, it definitely adds some low end and just kind of fattens it up. And then I turn both of these plugins, anything on the master bus, I just turn it off when I bounce it for mastering.
Yeah, because you did it with Ed, right? Over at Resonant, Ed Brooks.
Yeah, Ed Brooks, he's our guy. He's great. And he's mastered all our stuff. Maybe not this EP, but the other stuff he's mastered to their Ampex 2-track tape machine, and obviously the shit that he's got on it is a lot more complicated than these plugins. So I just use them to kind of approximate some sort of sound, for better or worse, and then I turn them off and send them to Ed.
All right. So just in case you missed the intro, this is Isolated Tracks produced by Justin Wilmore for 90.3 KEXP FM in Seattle and streaming at kexp.org. And we've been talking to Jacob Lundgren from the Seattle band The Dip. And you got to go check this song out, Ángel de los Muertos, from The Dip Plays It Cool. And you can find it wherever you stream things and also on the YouTubes. And man, thanks for going through this, Jacob.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.